Ready? Sure. Are you a college football fan? If yes, are you a fan of the BCS bowl game system? As of recently, there has been much dispute among college football fans about whether the method of selection is appropriate to give the two most deserving teams of the opportunity to compete for a national championship. Today's current BCS bowl system has taken many accusations for allowing unworthy teams to compete for a title they are not deserving of, as well as overlooking the great talent that many teams possess who do not make it in. Other criticisms include financial dispositions regarding profit margins and effects it has on the players in the postseason. Problems such as these do not occur as frequently in a traditional playoff system. The current bowl game system in Division I college football contains several obvious flaws, many of which could be fixed by incorporating a traditional playoff system. Incorporating a playoff system would keep undeserving teams from competing in a major bowl, especially against teams that are well above their competition level. In a BCS championship game, the winner of each conference gets a spot in a BCS bowl. But since not all conferences are equal caliber, many unranked teams get matched up against opponents that are among the top 10 or even top 5 in the nation. When unwanted situations such as this occur, the interest of the fans in publicity declines. Also, it excludes many teams who could benefit from the exposure. Another conflicting factor is that some of the lower tier teams who make it into the BCS Bowl tend to have smaller budgets and funding for their program than some of the higher level teams. This ultimately hurts the less capable teams as well as deprives the dominant powerhouse teams of a competitive championship game that they have worked hard for throughout the season. Being a student athlete is very time consuming challenge, and one may think that extending the season with a playoff system could potentially put players at a higher risk of being injured. Look at the situation from a broad perspective. College football is a year-round commitment, whether it is in the season, the weight room, or playbook analysis off the field. The fact is that college football players take a beating on a fairly frequent basis. Therefore, adding 2 or 3 extra games in the postseason would add a very minimal increase in risk of injury. Also, consider players who may have ongoing injuries from the beginning of the season. They may be more likely to take a break when they have desperately needed to allow themselves to heal. No player wants to sit his last game out, especially a senior. So if players are given an extra 2 or 3 games to play, then they will be less likely to play injured due to the opportunity for more games. Football is a dangerous sport, which is just the general nature of the game. Every season, players put themselves at risk of injury, but their desire to play and compete significantly outweighs the danger involved. College football players know what that is a blessing for them, and they have the opportunity to compete on a national stage. Any one of them could tell you they would very much appreciate the opportunity to play another game under the lights. Although the BCS Bowl games bring in much publicity and money, adding 3 playoff games rather than just having one final postseason game for each team has very good potential to increase revenue for these games. Adding playoff games would provide more opportunities for companies to sponsor games and generate a greater profit for both of them and the NCAA. There would be much more opportunities for fans to travel to the games, especially if they're held at their home team stadium. Thus, attendance and tickets demands would increase. Also, changing to a playoff system does not mean that all of their bowl games outside of the BCS games would no longer exist, but rather more big games competing for the championship. Suppose top 16 AP poll teams are invited to play for the championship. This sets up 15 games for the postseason. That does not include all of their other bowl games outside of the BCS. In the system used today, there are only 5 games. The number alone shows the potential for additional revenue hanging over the 3 times as many opens up windows opportunity to universally benefit companies, fans, and the players. With all the changes in college football today, fan support is at risk of diminishing in the NCAA if it does not satisfy their needs. Without a change in the poorly organized BCS system put in place today, the future of football is looking to become less of a thrill for its spectators. By converting to this playoff structure, there is much greater likelihood for fair play and equal opportunity for competition. College football will maintain its fan support as it progresses in a new direction, and all parties involved will indulge in the significant benefits a playoff system has to offer. The idea of a conference champions all competing in BCS bowls is unique and insightful concept, but when one incorporates factors such as the overall strength of each conference and potential for higher revenue earnings, it becomes evident that converting to a playoff system is the most efficient and beneficial way to handle postseason championships.